Bam. Yep. All right. It's the MLO Net Survivor Series, talking to folks all over the country about what they're doing to make it through slightly different times than the last 2 years. Today, we are actually diving into me interviewing Mr. TJ Barker. I think he interviewed me to kick the series off, and we said, hey, we never had a chance to flip-flop the roles. So, TJ, talk to me a little bit, man. Are you even a full-time loan officer these days? Like what is going on with your life? No, not even.
No. Not. I mean, look, I haven't been a full-time loan officer for a long time, right? So, but now recently I have, moved on to the direct lending team, Zach Sullivan's team, and 100% managing all the marketing efforts. So for me, it's kind of a marketing guy. That's my background even before I got into mortgage business back in 2005, I think, 2004, 2005. It's really kind of my dream job. So really excited. Still be writing loans, so definitely on a part-time basis. Because as you know, Fish, my thing has always been, especially when it comes to marketing and lead generation, that we got to be able to practice what we preach. Right. So it might only be one deal, might only be two deals, but we absolutely need to be making sure that the stuff that we're teaching, the stuff that we're asking other people to do, works. And that's one of the reasons we're having this call today, because as we get into this market, right, as people are starting to get just, hey, how do I get myself set up for 2023? How do I get more agents? How do I get more business, etc.? We start seeing a lot more posts at MLO Net about, hey, how do I get more leads? Or, hey, should I go ahead and hire X lead generation company, things of that nature. So when we start seeing those, that's when we always want to hop on here and just kind of have the discussion about what people can expect, if they're going to work leads, how they can do it themselves at a fraction of the cost, what they're going to experience if they go ahead and hire one of these lead generation companies, etc.
So I think it's cool to the folks that are watching here for you to tell this story about how you used to just be a LO, and now you're so good at generating leads that multiple branches and companies have said, hey, we actually want you to step out of your role as a loan officer and just work with us full time on lead generation. So, sometimes I hear people tell me, oh, no, this doesn't work. That doesn't work. Online doesn't work, never works, fails. You're a perfect example of someone who got so good at it that literally you have offers to not be a loan officer, to just focus on marketing and lead generation for, a fairly large team of loan officers. So, again, it does work if you do the work. Now, I think what I really want to ask you about today is, if somebody was coming in to this space right now, and there's 40 some folks watching, I see a bunch of the names, like some of them I know really well, Jan Simpson, James Teixeira down in Indiana. If they're coming in this space and they're trying to add that component to their business, is it too late for them to get started? Are they 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years behind the curve? Or are there companies they can hire or things they can do that aren't going to suck up all their time and energy in maybe their traditional relationship making activities that they've been trained to do, where they can convert to a little bit more of the online stuff?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, look, Facebook, or Meta as it is now, is still extremely valuable, and it works so well. TikTok is another resource that we're moving into. We've seen really good results with them. Now, it's not 2015, 2016 wild west like Facebook was when we started with this, right? We used to be able to sit there and say, hey, I'm looking for recent college graduates with a 700 credit score who are paying $1,500 a month in rent or more, right? And
I remember building some of those ads with you a long time ago, and you're like, wow, right, we can just literally go after exactly what we want. Yeah.
Right. Our goal was, remember at that time, was to get our audience down below like 75,000 people. Like we wanted this really dialed in targeted audience, and we can't do that anymore. So now our goal is the exact opposite. We're trying to get our message out to as many people as possible, and essentially allowing our ad copy on our images to pull in those folks. And then, the computer learning, the AI and all that type of fun stuff starts to learn to who put our message in front of. All that being said, we're still running ads, I'll say Meta because we're accustomed to Facebook, right? But it's now in that metaverse or the meta world, and a lot of our traffic comes from Instagram. But we're still pulling leads for $2, $3, $4. These are people that are raising their hand saying, hey, I am interested in learning more about buying a home, down payment assistance. Where's this listing located? Homes with, a list of homes with acreage, things of that nature. So you can absolutely do it. I think the biggest thing that most people have to have is the expectations of what you're going to do and the results you want to see and the work that you have to put in to be successful with this.
Now you actually, have figured out that yes, you can get these $1, $2, $3, $4 leads, but you're not going to get 50% conversion like you might get with a realtor referral. I mean, the conversion rate might be 1, 2, 3, 5 if you're great, but it could be 2% if you're just good. So what do you do?
So what we see, let's talk on that real quick.
Yeah.
So what we see with conversion rates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Expectations. And I don't care if it's a Facebook lead, I don't care if it's a Google lead, I don't care if it's a Zillow lead, Realtor.com, doesn't matter, right? If you kind of half-ass it and you're not really putting the consistent effort in, we've all seen the stats, right, that most sales happen after the 7th attempt, right? Most people put in 1, if that, you're looking at about a 0.5% conversion rate. And if you're consistent, you should see about a 1% conversion rate on this within your first 60 days. So if you generate 100 leads or 200 leads over 60 days, you should see about a 1% conversion rate during that time. And to me, conversion is in today's market, right? Today's market's not the traditional market. To me, that's someone that you got pre-approved. You have an application, you have a pre-approval, you're able to go ahead and issue a pre-approval letter out. You can share that with one of your real estate partners. You can utilize it to prospect new agent partners, whatever the case may be. Now, over time, if you're really good and you're creating your local Facebook group, you're following Fisher's method, creating these Facebook groups, building your branding, things of that nature, you can get that conversion rate up to 3 to 5% over time. Right? But it's not going to happen day one. And I love lead generation. I think every single person should be doing lead generation. If you have time today, right? If you're not so busy, if you're not putting in 10 to 15 loans per month right now, and you have time, and you're saying, hey, how am I going to do my prospecting? You should absolutely be running ads. Put $20 a day into it. Get yourself 5 to 10 new contacts every single day and prospect and make those calls and send those text messages. You will get business from it.
Now,
right?
I can already see some of the naysayers. I mean, because you and I have seen them over the years going, oh my gosh, 1%, 2%. Why don't I just call the realtors? Cool. I can't say I'm going to argue that point with you. But what I will say is, what do these realtors want from a lot of you? They want some value. So, like I know what you guys are doing right now on your team, the same thing you and I have been talking about forever. Man, what if you can help that realtor partner occasionally with the concept of lead generation? Like, it's not going to be 1-for-1. I'm not going to
leads are currency. Leads are currency.
Right.
This is so there's 2 real approaches with lead generation. Zach Sullivan approach. Zach and his team have closed over $100 million per year from Facebook ads the last 3 years. Every time someone's like, leads don't work, I'm like, it's time to get Zach onto a webinar, right? It works. Or you have the Ashley Renee Corville approach, which is leads are currency. Leads are leverage. You have the ability to bring leads in, get up in front of them, be consumer direct, hopefully get a few pre-approvals out of it if you're consistently working them, and then leverage that knowledge, leverage that information as a way for real estate agents to say, hey, I'd like to speak to you. The whole thing, Fish, you know the story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Leads Academy came about because I left my really cushy in-house sales job from a big real estate company. And because they didn't pay me crap, and I was like, oh, I'll just go open up a branch and I will take all this business with me. And those agents weren't loyal to TJ, right? They were loyal to Long and Foster. So I quickly got replaced. And I was like, crap, what do I do? I got 3 kids, I got a wife, my wife's a stay-at-home parent, what do I do? I joined the core. Every Thursday and Friday, I built my list. Every Monday, I called the 10 agents that I knew and found a reason not to call the other 30. And then I'd rationalize that on Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, I'd update my list and I'd do the same thing. I needed a reason to call. And a lot of the loan officers I've met and worked with over the last 5 years now have been in that same boat. Hey, Fish, agents that work with my team generate additional 2 to 4 transactions per year through our consumer direct marketing efforts. I'd love to talk with you and show you a little bit more about what we can do and see if we're a good fit for each other. That's a lot different call than I'd like to take you out for a cup of coffee and find out what makes you so awesome. I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm just saying that there are a lot of folks that are more like me and less like John Thomas, who need that reason to make that call, that need that reason to be in a little bit of a different position when they're making that phone call.
Now, I got a very specific question about the leads, because I see a lot of loan officers and realtors being so specific on what they think they want from their lead. Like, hey, I want sellers that are selling between 500 and 700,000 in this 2 square mile radius. You know, I mean, is that ad going to work? Probably not. Right. So how do you get the loan officers and the realtors that are kind of getting into this lead generation concept to understand that sometimes you got to throw a bunch of different types of leads out there and see which are working? I mean, it might be down payment assistance. It might be, bond programs. It might be something that you don't truly enjoy as a lender, but you're getting a whole lot of people involved. And all of a sudden, okay, now I have an additional call to action. I can bring them to a webinar. I can do a first-time home buyer. And those things convert into relationships and more deals. And eventually, the kind of business that you want. I think the challenge that I often see is
we do it just by what you just said there. It's having a conversation, it's explaining, it's really trying to open up and show you the numbers, right? I can sit there, look, I'm telling you right now, LO client or realtor client calls me up and it's like, hey, I want jumbo leads. I'm like, sweet, we can do that. I'm like, it's probably going to cost you somewhere between $100 and $150 per lead, right? And if it takes you 25 leads to get a pre-approval, let's look at your ROI on that. How much do you get paid? What's your comp? What's your average size on your loan size for that? What do you think it's going to be? And you're like, well, I'm losing money on that. I'm like, yeah, like exactly. Or we can get you 200 leads at $5 each that get you 2 loans, right? Again, this is exercise I did with someone yesterday. Their average loan size for a first-time home buyer is $400,000. They're down in Austin, so we dropped it down to $3,000. Right? We looked at the comp. We broke it down. We took all their fees out. Next thing you know, it's like, wow. So if I put $1,000 in and I consistently work the leads or hire someone to consistently work these leads for me, just off of this, I'm looking at, something like 10x or 11x on his investment. Like, yep, 100%. But then the key is you follow something like what John Thomas does, and the core does, and Marketing Animals, and Zenix, and all these things do, right? You take that pre-approval and you reach out to that real estate agent. You hand it to them. You build a relationship. You get a deal under contract. Whether it's the pre-approval that you have or it's a different one. And then you do your follow-ups on Tuesday and Wednesday, and you're asking for additional business from the buyer, the listing agent, the buyer's agent, etc. Now all of a sudden you've got your $1,000 in your 2 deals. You've turned them into 4. You've turned them into 6 over time. That's what you do with leads. That's, again, Ashley Renee Corville approach. That's how you leverage leads as currency to build your foundational business. And then before you know it, you're consistent with that for a year. You've got enough relationships. You got enough referral business. You've built your brand. You've built your local Facebook group. You've built your TikTok following to the point where you built your Google business profile to the point you can turn that ad spend off. And you only have to have it when you need it. You want to attract a new agent. You want to go after a whale. You have an agent that's maybe the relationship isn't doing so well because you didn't do a great job. I know none of us at MLO Net ever dropped the ball, right? But you can go ahead and start putting that out there, put a little bit of effort in, and solidify that relationship. Or go back to when we were talking with Alec a couple of weeks ago. You're building that fence up around agents because guess what? We actually deliver. We actually get you some pre-approved buyers. We refer business out. It's a huge difference. It's a big paradigm shift. But Fish, it all comes back down to generating the leads, and more importantly, consistently working the leads. And I don't care. You got to have automation. if you're super busy, you don't have time to do it yourself, you got to hire a virtual ISA to do it. They're really cheap. Otherwise you might as well just you're taking your money and you're just lighting on fire, because if you're not consistently working the leads, you're not going to convert.
Yep. So you got a handful of questions, and we try to keep these short, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Maybe we'll do a longer session with TJ as we've done in the past. People are asking, I'm just going to roll through all these. Maybe you can answer them kind of in a row here, but who do you recommend for posting ads? What's the sequence on the leads? Who do you recommend that can go over specific questions? What kind of ads should we post? Basically the normal questions that we see all the time. Yep.
All right. Sequence. So follow-up sequence. First thing you got to do, and by the way, I'm having some work done on my house in case you hear hammering or something in the background. So it was a little unexpected situation here. But sequence goes, we set our system up. We use automation. We have a system called One Officer Acceleration. It's built on a platform called High Level, which most marketers use these days. So for example, let's say we're running a listing ad. One of my clients, Josh Berger, has had so much success running listing ads. He prospects real estate agents. Any listing that's been on the market for over 2 weeks, he just gives them calls, someone wants some ads for you, right? And promote your listing.
Is he coming on in Thursday? Are we doing a call with him Thursday? Hopefully.
That's the goal.
All right,
that's
cool. Cool. So if guys are watching, he'll be the next.
If not, I got to back up. Don't worry. So, so we have it set up where when that lead comes through, when they submit that, they request that information, within 2 minutes, your phone rings, right? Your phone rings. You hear a message that says, "Hey, you have a new lead. The name is Michael Fisher. They're interested in 123 Main Street. Press any key to connect." Again, it's Michael Fisher. You press 1, boom, it dials out while Michael Fisher is still on his phone, looking at that listing, right? Then if that doesn't work, if they don't connect, your next sequence is you call them right back. It's called a bulldog call, real big in kind of the agency space, but you exponentially increase your contact rates at that level. And then from there, I like to see about a combination of about 15 touches over the next 2 weeks between phone calls and automated text messages. We do send out emails, even though honestly, most of them don't get delivered. Very few people read email these days. So text message, phone call, really hitting them hard over 2 weeks, and then putting them into kind of the sequence or following up with them a handful of times every 3 weeks after that. It's going to go ahead and help your conversion. Additionally, pushing them into your local Facebook group where you're able to go ahead and build that community, post 2 or 3 or 4 times per week. That's going to really increase your conversions as well. So just follow the MLO Net formula for that. What was the next question? I'm sorry, Fish. We did talk about conversion.
Oh, that's okay. Like a ton of people are just asking, who would you recommend? Guys, this isn't a sales pitch. We're not selling TJ, but TJ does run LO Leads Academy. He teaches all this stuff. Like everything is laid out. It's for those of you who've done any of the programs I've done, he and I have built these together, helped each other out at times of time. It's very similar. You go in, you watch videos, there's content, there's scripting, there's layout, there's help, there's support, the whole 9 yards in LO Leads Academy. So
two things with that.
Yeah.
One, we have training here in MLO Net.
Mm-hmm.
We've got training in MLO Net. Listing ads, we've got the training in here. We did this one, probably our most watched video. We did this back in 2020, I think, during the pandemic. And it still works, and it's still the same concept. It's still, we show you exactly how to do it. We have long form mortgage leads in there, in here as well, showing you exactly how to do it. I mean, there's people that are charging $2,500 to $5,000 to learn how to do that. We show you how to do it in here for free. If you're new to generating leads, I don't suggest that you start with that. You really got to build up your audience, got to build up your data, build up how comfortable you are with this. And then quick promotion for myself, we've actually implemented I call it the easy button inside our system, where you can deploy an ad within 2 minutes, right? It is literally, you press a button, fill out a couple fields, and your ad launches in Facebook and Instagram. So it's really, really cool right there. So, but yeah, not a sales pitch. Again, if you want training, it's right here in MLO Net.
Yeah, and maybe we can go back and drop the links in the replay or whatever. So we're getting close to that 20-minute mark. Again, guys, if you have specific questions or whatever, you can follow up with TJ. One person asked me about Leads Academy. I'll message you privately in TJ, because we're not, the goal here is to help LOs, not to pitch or sell our stuff. But, some of you are so curious about this, and, you're deciding whether you should or shouldn't. Bottom line, if you are not committed to doing the follow-up, don't do it. You got to do the follow-up. You have to build the follow-up systems, or you have to have a team. If you're not making the calls yourself, if you are committed to doing the follow-up and building the systems, again, you can potentially walk out of calling on real estate agents and do consumer direct to a point. You still are going to want to partner with the agents because that's where your best referrals are still going to come from. So combine the two to the point where the agents aren't driving the bus anymore, right, TJ? So that you're driving together.
Yeah, it's where you are part of the team, and you're truly giving back to them, and that's such a big difference. It's again, I like the term paradigm shift, right? You're switching from being, hey, trust me with your paycheck, to, hey, yeah, you know something, I do refer this out. But and as we wrap this up, Fish, I kind of do want to circle back to the reason that we started this call in the beginning. Lately in MLO Net, we have gotten lots of questions about this. We have seen people. We try to keep people out, try to filter people out, but sometimes we miss folks, right? Who are, all of a sudden they're selling a bunch of stuff in here. We, folks ask about, hey, should I invest $2,500 in this program or $5,000 in this program? Should I hire this lead gen company? Lead generation is awesome. It can be a huge part of your business, but the key is I believe you got to handle the cost yourself. You got to keep the cost down. Hire someone affordable. You can't spend $5,000 a month. I mean, you can, but even then, you still got to do it yourself. Like when agencies or this thing or that thing, it's really simple. Generating leads is easy. Following up and converting them, that's the challenge, and that's where the consistency comes into place. And that's really what this call is about, guys. Please don't get taken advantage of. Because we had someone that we dealt with over the weekend, and then again last night, right? By some of these folks that are calling you and kind of being
guys, if you see stuff like this in MLO Net, just message us. Like most of the time, it's people we've never heard of sneaking in. Hey, I got the secret. I've closed 60 million in loans. Personally, we go look up their production. It's 1 million. They've been in the business for 8 months. I literally did one like that last night, who was a digital marketer on LinkedIn, became an LO 8 months ago and is trying to sell MLO Net on how, much of a badass they are. Like, come on, guys, stop that. So, if we let somebody slip through the cracks, we apologize, but in an effort to try to serve the whole LO community, sometimes that happens because they do have an NMLS license. So either way, we appreciate y'all. We'll let you guys get back to your day. We're going to try to bring one of TJ's Leads Academy students in that is actually walking the walk with this type of business model and dive a little bit more into what they're specifically doing for those of you who want to listen. We appreciate you guys. Get back to your week. Thank you again for your referrals and sharing things back and forth in MLO Net. TJ, man, I will talk to you soon. I'll call you later today. Okay, buddy?
You guys on Thursday.
Peace out, guys.